So it is time for Lightning Talks round 2. So here's basically how this works. A lightning talk is a 5-minute talk that anybody can present, and you have exactly 5 minutes. But if you do less, you can do less. As soon as you hear the sound, your time's up and you have to stop immediately. You're completely done at that point. You're finished. So no time for Q&A or any of that. You have 5 minutes. You can use slides if you want to. You can use screen share, or you can just, freestyle it, which is your camera. Whatever you like to do, we can do it that way. You can talk about whatever you like for those 5 minutes within code of conduct confines, of course. We only have to listen to you for 5 minutes, so if we don't like it, that's all right. No big deal. So I do have the list here, and then I'm going to be going basically in the order that I have on the form right now. And then if we have more time after this, then we'll see if anyone else wants to do this. In the worst case scenario, if there's nobody else who wants to give a lightning talk, then we can also do something else that I've been introduced to recently called slide karaoke, where I find a random set of slides on Google, and then somebody can just try to make up a talk with those slides. 5 minutes. It's a real kick to watch. Nicholas did that yesterday. So, but that's only if we have the time. But we've got some awesome lightning talks coming up, which we'll start with. So, excuse me. So it looks like Elias is first up. And Elias, can you hear us okay?
Yep. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely. Do you have any slides or anything you want to use?
Yeah, I've got a Python notebook. It's probably a bit of a squeeze for the 5 minutes, but I'll try my very best to get through it and not lose too many people.
All right. Well, if you want to go ahead and bring that up now, that way I won't count it against your time.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, cool. So your time starts now.
Okay, so this is a bit inspired by Jason's talk yesterday about Python Zen, and I just wanted to show something, tie it to a comment that I sort of isolated out of the talk, and I want to show how I recommend doing things better. Without further ado, let's get into it. Rather simple example. We want to load some invoices here into Python, calculate a maximum spend per a supplier of invoices. So we're on the buying side here. And then we want to just bring that back onto the invoices itself to compare them to a monthly spend. I'm just going to run through it. And this code is intentionally not great because I want to show some bits. So we've loaded some invoices. Now I'm subselecting a few columns of that. I'm passing them as a types. Have a look. Looks kind of great. We have suppliers, we have amounts, issue dates. All good so far. Now we want to calculate some maxima. So I'm first gonna set an index of an issue date. Then I'm gonna group this whole thing, regroup it in a monthly way, and aggregate the gross amount per month and per supplier. So what I'm getting is sort of this kind of table. Then I'm picking the maximum of those. So now we're back to a supplier level, and per supplier, I've got the maximum monthly spend. So just a bit of housekeeping to have it a neat data frame. And now I want to bring this back together with the invoices that I started from. So I'm saying I'm merging this together, and here's my result. I've still got the invoices, gross amount, but also the maximum monthly spend of the suppliers. And I probably want something like the relative size here as well. So I'm just going to put this gross amount into relation with the monthly spend, and I get sort of this percentage. This invoice is 5% of this monthly the monthly spend of this supplier. But oh, wait, what's that? Why is the issue date my index? because I set it up here somewhere. Oh, I did a mistake. I didn't copy my invoices data frame. I did everything in place. Wait, let me try and fix that. Let me rerun it. It doesn't work anymore. I changed everything in place. My notebook is a chaos. So what went wrong? Well, like I said, it was this thing. I did everything in place. Now there's no way of going back. Mutability can be surprising. That's Jason's statement from yesterday, and surprises are bad. And also the other point that I want to make, implementation comments are failures to a degree. I have to comment everything here because it's not clear from the code. My alternative is all the headings, I just turn them into pure functions. So I've got a function that loads invoices. I've got one that aggregates data monthly by supplier. I've got a function that combines invoices and those aggregates, and I define those isolated. Everything I do in there is in an immutable way. I'm not changing anything in place. And then I've got this really nice thing down here where I just say load invoices, combine those invoices with what you aggregate from those. So everything that runs is in here. I can run pieces of that as I see fit as well. Everything's really neat. I can jump around in my notebook as much as I want because everything I do is immutable. I will not get confused. I won't break things. And everything I do here can be copied out right into a production system because it's nicely encapsulated. It's self-documenting. It's small, pure functions that are super reusable. It's named precisely. It's everything you want, everything ready for production. And it's actually not much harder to write than all this messing about that we had in the beginning. But you will thank me later if you try this out. It makes your code much neater, makes it much easier to go back to your code, to understand it, and to have a clean result. That's it. Probably rushed it even more than I was thinking. You're on mute, Jason.
Yeah, anyway, yeah, you finish actually with 21 seconds to go. It's a kind of a pity there's no points in this game, for the most seconds left. Just for kicks, I'll actually write it down. But yeah, anyway, but well, you know what? The important part is it was a great talk.
Yeah. Thanks. Just 2 more seconds then that I'll use. If you have any questions or want to discuss this, find me in any channel, send me a direct message. I'm very happy to discuss about this.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Please do. Actually, this whole conversation started over in Talk Writing Zen Like Python, which was off my talk yesterday. So if you want to see some of the conversation that led up to this too, definitely check that out. All right. So next in line, we have Wei. Am I pronouncing that right? Wei Li?
Yeah, that's correct.
Cool. I got it right. Yeah. Yay. All right.
Yay.
So and do you have any slides or anything you need to bring up?
Yeah, I'll have to share my screen.
Okay, I'll let you do that first.
Okay.
All right, and
can you see my screen?
Yep, we can see it. We're good. So if you're ready, your time starts now.
Okay. Communication tools is a tool for team to build a commit message rule, and now I'll live demo some functionality of communication. Tomorrow we'll have a sprint about communication. So let's see where the terminal is. First, we check the Git status. Now there's no new, it's matter. But anyway, we'll create another new branch as EuroPython 2020, and we'll create a new file, EuroPython 2020. And after that, we added to our stage file. It will, it's a new file, EuroPython 2020. Then we use the command of communication. If you type cd, it will show the help message of it, and then we can use communication to do communication commits. By default, we use conventional commit, and it will show you a user interface which you can select which type of command, which type of change this is. So maybe it's assuming this is a continuous integration and it's a Jenkins file and just for test. Yeah, and you can see we can have a formatted commit message. And if you now, because in semantic versioning, if you change continuous integration stuff, you don't need to bump version. So after you run bump, it won't bump anything. Yeah, because the original version is 1.23.1. And now if we create another one, EuroPython 2021, and we add it again and comment it as a bug fix and another test. And we can bump it because we already have a bug fix commit, and in semantic versioning, if you have a bug fix commit in your Git log, you will have to bump a patch version. So which is why the version is bumped from 1.23.1 to 1.23.2. And in addition to that, let's see what we have now in our changelog. In our latest, it's 1.23.1, and if we run commit-send, changelog, and incremental, I kind of forget it, and you'll see in the Git log we add a bug fix test here. So yeah. Oh yeah, we forgot to create the Git tag for this version. So, that's weird, but yeah. So we can use commit-send to format our commit message and use it to bump our project version and generate the changelog from it. So if you are interested in this project, let's sprint tomorrow in Sprint commit-send tools. Or that will be all. Yeah. Okay, start going in.
That was, and actually you finished it off with a minute 11. That was I just added that to my bullet journal. That is, I want to use that. That is a really great looking tool.
Thanks.
So thank you, Wei. And yeah, if anyone wants to ask him any questions or whatever, yeah, pop into the Microsoft track, and I definitely join that sprint tomorrow if that looks interesting. There's a lot of really cool sprints, and that's one of them. All right, so next in line we have Sangashanan, I believe. There you are.
Hey.
Hey. So do you have any slides? Anything you want to?
Yeah.
All right, let me make sure I restart this thing. Okay, cool. So if you are ready to go, then
Yeah, I am.
Your time starts now.
Okay, so this talk is going to be really short and really weird. And since I've looked at all the other talk, it feels like I'm going to waste a lot of time. So it's 5 minutes, it's fine. So lightnings. So why is this called a lightning talk? Because lightnings can't talk, right? So let's, explore that further with a short history of memes. Memes 101. So what are memes, right? So memes are essentially just images that are scattered across the internet whose meaning can range from incredibly profound to incredibly dumb. So memes can be a source of joy, confusion, and sometimes it can give you an uncontrollable migraine. And memes have evolved over time. We are now at meme 3.0.2. We use semantic versioning. So memes have evolved from 2010 to what it is right now. So the types of memes, and of course I have attached some examples. So we have cat memes, which have cats. So this cat needs his charge. We have dog memes, which have dogs. We have happy memes, which make us feel happy. And we have sad memes, which make us feel sad. We have weird memes, that are just super weird. They don't make sense. And then we have the intellectual memes, which, you have to be an intellectual to understand it. We have the offensive memes, which I'm not going to show for secret reasons that rhyme with road of conduct. And transformation techniques. So the memes which you saw before, you can transform them to create an entirely new genre of memes. Let's look at how you do that. Deep frying. So deep frying is a technique where you deep fry your meme with a filter, and that creates an entirely new genre of memes, which are the deep fried memes. You have distortion, where you can distort the face of a character in a meme and create distortion memes. And then you have the green screen memes, which is just a green screen. The evolution. So memes have evolved from the early 2000s of sending just cat pictures online to now, where they have stopped making sense. So this is something which is really weird, which shows you the timeline of these memes, where it evolved from proto-ironic stages to post-ironic stages, and it has stopped being simple and started being complex. Does this not make sense to you? I'm sorry, it's not supposed to, and it's really weird actually. And the purpose of this is absolutely nothing. Sometimes it's all chaos, and you got to live with it. Thank you very much. That's it. I hope I did not waste a lot of time.
Wow, that's
Yes.
that one's I'm watching that again later on YouTube. That's that was fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's you've only used 3 minutes of my life that I do not want back. That was well invested.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I feel very educated. You know, memes had a timeline. I mean, I think San has invented an entire new branch of academics where we look at the evolution of memes over time. I mean, I believe you were the first professional memologist.
Thank you. I prefer meme connoisseur.
Okay, there we go. Meme connoisseur. Well, learn something new every day, and that is knowledge I will use daily. Thank you so much.
You're
So next on our list, if that has not set the bar so high that everyone else is scared off, is Terry Forey.
Hi. I don't know how I'm going to follow that.
I don't know how anyone's going to follow that. Who are we
Don't
kidding?
know how. Okay. I'm just going to attempt to share my screen, and apparently I have so many windows open I can't tell which one it is that I want to share.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right, because Sun finished with 1:58, so it's not like we're under the gun here.
okay. I just need to open my system preferences and change a few things. I'll be right back. Okay, I have to quit Zoom apparently and reopen. So
all right, so I'm going to actually then go to Marius and come back to you if that's all right, so that you have time to work all that out.
thank you.
So we will come back to Terry then if Marius is ready to go.
If you can hear me, I think I am. I'm just going to activate my screen share. I hope you can see something.
Absolutely, we can see a starry night. Well, not the painting, the picture, the photograph.
But it should now show slides though.
Absolutely, yes. Okay. So your time starts now.
So yeah, thanks. I'm Marius. I'm working as a software engineer and researcher in Germany at Fraunhofer. And I'm currently trying to figure out, so this is kind of a cry for help, how to document the architecture of my applications, because I have problems with the last step of it, which is to document or to actually generate UML diagrams from my Python code. So to take a step back, why am I going to do all this? Because having an architecture documentation is great. It allows me to simplify a few existing processes, such as improving my software or maintaining it better, because I can just look and analyze my architecture rather than looking at all of my code. And it will also make communication easier with my other teams that I might have. And of course, it also helps me to maybe check if the nice architecture I built is actually also the one I also implemented. And it helps getting new people on the team much quicker, because I can let them look at this as kind of a training material. And there are, of course, different ways of doing the documentation. So there's, for example, semi-formal or formal ones. I don't really like or want to use the formal ones, such as Archimate or like difficult UML type diagrams, because even though they are quite complete and verbose, it does take a lot of time to learn them, especially when creating them, but sometimes even to consume them. So you're kind of just shrinking the set of users who can work with this artificially. Like a domain expert might not want to learn UML just to understand if you're doing a good job as an engineer. And the semi-formal ones I like better. So for instance, in Germany, there's this ARC42. It's just a document template, really, something I would like to use, and C4 model, which is essentially a set of diagrams. And for those who just read this, it should be possible without any learning effort. Those who create it need to learn a little bit, but not so much. So then for the data format, I want to do everything with text, not with any kind of proprietary binary formats, because text has the advantage of it can live forever. You don't need any software to open it or to look at it. It is human readable right away. And of course you can diff it, which is great, because for some reason with all these diagramming tools, diffing is not part of the solution. They forgot to implement it. I don't know. It's actually a very hard problem. It only exists a few research papers about this. And what I do not want to do is play this game where I have, when I want to understand the difference of an architecture, I have to look at the before and after image and then find the differences to understand how, say, the class model changed. I want to look at text rather in a diff that I know as a dev engineer anyway. So if I want to use VCS, I can, well, put my documentation into VCS, have readable formats generated in CI. There are different tech stacks on how to do this. This is just an example, but essentially you have some set of clear text documents, markdown, restructured text, whatever. You have text-based diagrams. And these diagrams have different levels because the idea is you start high level and then you zoom in. And the high level ones you make yourself using whatever diagram language you want to use. But the lowest ones I do not want to make myself because they change very frequently and I want to have them generated. And plant UMLs, the one that I found to be most widely used or be quite nice. Essentially, you write clear text diagrams using a Java-like syntax. Plant UML converts this to dot files, which GraphWiz then converts to images. And you can do a lot more than just UML or class diagrams. You can do a lot of other kinds of diagrams. Check out this resource if you are interested, the Hitchhiker's Guide to Plant UML. And now my problem that I have is I found quite a few good generators for other languages, but nothing good for Python when you use type hints, which is great because type hints should make the job easier for these kinds of parsers. There are a few tools I tried, but they are not actually good. So this is my question. Why? Does nobody care about this? Does nobody use class diagrams? Or are people using only untyped code where the generation is fine? Or maybe I'm on the wrong track to begin with. So if you have any opinions, let me know. And maybe let's discuss this in the architecture docs Discord channel. Thank you.
Excellent. 13 seconds to spare too, and that was I think it's a very salient issue. I actually just private messaged you on Discord because I'm interested in this one. I want to see where this goes. I do love a good UML. Thank you, Marius. All right, so Terry, are you ready to roll? Do you have that?
I'm back. Things are looking much better.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, there's that pesky little thing with Mac, isn't there?
There is, yeah, yeah.
All right, so you are spotlighted and you are ready to go. So your time starts now.
Okay, so hi everyone. It's good to be here. This is my first ever EuroPython, so hello. So I'm going to talk about research software engineers, or RSE for short, and who, what, and why. So who are these people? They are, oh, there we are. They are people in a variety of roles who understand and care about both good software and good research. Okay, so what are they doing? Well, they kind of live and they bridge two worlds. So they live in this middle ground somewhere between software engineering, as most people in this conference would know it, and academic or scientific research. Okay, and it's all about bringing these two things together. And you might not be called an RSE, but you might do something similar to this, okay? And why? Well, researchers and research needs good software. Good software helps produce good research. And there's not enough of it, okay? There's a lot of bad software in research at the moment, in academia. I have seen some quite surprising things. If anybody ever wants to see an 8,000 line Python function, I can show you one. People who will only start a project in Python 2 still. People who like to share their code via email or PDFs only. Okay, there's a lot of bad things happening in research, and it needs good people with good software engineering skills to go in and do things. And if at all this sounds familiar to what you do, to colleagues of yours or friends of yours, then get in touch, because we are quite a good community and we're growing. And we have some events coming up. So as everybody knows, a lot of national conferences have been cancelled. So for the very first time, we've formed a sort of international RSE group, and we are putting on a series of online research software events, or SOURCE. Get in touch if you're interested in participating or just watching. It's going to be hopefully one event a week, maybe like an hour a week from now until we're back in the same room together. So we're thinking this is going to go on into the beginning part of next year. We're hoping to kick off with our first event in the next couple of weeks, fingers crossed. There's our website URL if you want to find out more. And yeah, we're kind of flying by our seats of our pants because we've never done this before, and we've never worked as an international committee before. But so yeah, come and check us out. Series of research events, and that's all for RSEs or anybody who's just interested in what we're doing. Thank you.
Excellent, Terry. Thank you so much. I actually have a couple of friends in that field that maybe they use Python and academics that may be rather interested in that. So I'll pass that on. And by the way, you finished with 2 minutes and 7 seconds. So that was really lightning. That was great.
Sorry, I speak too fast.
Oh no, that's all right. Hey, you know, they never apologize for being succinct. That's absolutely. Okay, next up we have Griffith Reese.
Hey.
Did I get that right? Reese or Reese?
Reese will do, yeah.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna really try to stick under 5, so we'll see how this goes.
All right, you got your slides?
I do have some slides, and yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Right.
Cool.
We'll bring those up first before I start the talk to make sure
Of
that
course.
before I start the time, so that you don't lose your 5 minutes to technical issues, because that's never fun.
Okay, so I hope, is that visible to you?
Perfect. All right,
Cool.
You are good to go. Your time starts now.
Right, okay, so I initially thought this wouldn't fit this conference, but given there are 2 presentations on creativity so far, which are awesome, that's what got me the courage to do this. So thank you for both of those, and we'll see how this goes. Back in 2010, I was at a place called the Santa Fe Institute Summer School, and we were supposed to do our own projects over the 3 weeks. And me and 2 friends ended up trying to make a collaborative design project, which ended up being a Django app. And then I ended up running a museum called the Ashmolean a couple times, but never could find a department who was up for actually like pursuing that project. And it's sort of left on one side, but I keep wanting to come back to it. And especially with the release of Django 3 and async, maybe there's a way that I could do it in a big way that could scale up. So we initially were having trouble finding ways to study aesthetics. We could see some questions on problem solving and completely missed all of this literature that I've now since found on neuroaesthetics, which is really interesting. Those are some people worth looking up if anyone else is interested in that. But the kind of the question was, we were sort of looking at it as people could only see their neighbors, and you'll see that in a second. And then how sort of motivic aspects of their design seemed to respond to their neighbors' designs. And, you know, is that cool? Does it look good? Do we like that? That's what we wanted to research. Obviously, people may be aware of another project that came some years later. This is not the final version, but people may recognize it. Just obviously worth mentioning that. But crucially, everyone in this can see the whole canvas, whereas in the way we did it, you could only see your local neighbors, your Moors neighbors, if that rings any bells. The other crucial thing was that it was for designing a t-shirt. So that was an extra incentive, people actually getting a t-shirt that came out of it. And then there was a vote, we won the vote. So I have a t-shirt of it, which I now can't find because it's been so long. So I'm gonna give you a really quick demo in processing, because that was the easiest thing I could get set up for this. So fingers crossed this works. So there was a version in processing JS, and now there's P5JS, those would be ways to do it. But crucially, I press space, I can see my neighbors. There's the north neighbor and my northwest neighbor at the middle and top left. And then I can click and draw a shape. Crucially, I can also edit that one line that I share with my neighbors. And then I press space and it zooms out and you see where you fit on the canvas right here in this particular case. This is how we ran in the museum. So the last thing, so there was how we ran it actually as a website. We then had, so I won't go into the details of that. It's too hard to show that right now. We had some hilarious problems of time zones there where someone hadn't changed their time zone. We were taking the user's time zone rather than the server time zone. So people started overwriting. There was a dude named Shiva who figured out how the JavaScript worked and then tried to algorithmically create a random square, which ended up overwriting a whole bunch, which you'll see in a second. But we thought it looked really cool at the end. So let's see if I can get this to work. That was the overwriting moment. It's also worth mentioning that this is a torus, so that everyone on the right saw the left edge as their neighbors and everyone on the bottom edge saw the top as their neighbors. And that's a piece by Julius Eastman, who's a really important composer who actually ended up homeless towards the end of his life. So yeah, that's a final version of it as a, just a vector. Again, each person just got their square and they could see their 8 more neighbors around them for their edits, but they never saw the final canvas until we printed the t-shirt at the end. We'd like to move it forward. Django 3, using channels and WebSockets seems like a great way if we were to scale it outside just, 64 people. And we've thought of trying to study other elements of creativity, like sound. If you can only hear like 4 bars before your 4 bars and then the 4 bars after, how much could motifs also play in that sense? And then could we then analyze that and maybe ways in which those patterns could play out and also ways in which AI might replicate human behavior in a creative context. So the last slide is when we were running it, what times of day people tended to come into work.
Actually, you were really close there, though. But that was, I mean, yeah, you got to the last slide. Bravo for packing all that in. I'd like to hear that music demo. That would be interesting. Let me know when you do that, because I want to be part of that.
Thank you.
Oh, that would be awesome. So thank you very much, Griffith. That was a fascinating presentation, and great, like I said, great job fitting that into 5 minutes. Okay, so we got 2 more left on the sheet, and it looks like we actually have time for several more talks too. So here's the deal. If anyone else wants in on this, you can add your name to the sheet because I'm watching that, or you can also go ahead and just wave your hand at me over in Microsoft Track, ping me in Microsoft Track, and then we can Anders is running the room, so he can keep an eye on that. He can drag you in, and you can present on whatever you like. And by the way, you don't have to have slides. I did this yesterday. I didn't have slides. I just pulled up a web page related to what I was doing, and I gave a little lightning talk on something. It's a lot of fun. It's not hard to make up something. You can even just riff for 5 minutes, like Sam did. So yeah, if you want in on this, just let us know over on the Microsoft track. All right. So next up we have Lorenzo Peña. Peña.
Peña.
There we go. I can speak Spanish a little bit, so I was just trying to see if I could fake it.
Oh, okay, try. Can you try?
Now that and as soon as you said that, it went went all out my brain. So we're just gonna go with
Okay.
Jason can't speak Spanish under pressure.
No problem.
All right. So you're ready to go, and
I am.
are you ready?
I am.
All right. So your time starts now.
Okay, my name is Lorenzo, and I want to quickly show you how to switch branches without too much worry in Django or Django on Migrate. So we have Django, which is a great framework with database migrations, which are a way to mutate the database structure and data from code. Now, in a project that is at least of medium complexity, you've probably found yourself in a position where you have a number of branches, each one of those probably mapping to a cool new feature that is work in progress, and probably many of those features have migrations. So every time you have to switch from one branch into another, you have to be unapplying the migrations from one branch and then probably applying migrations in the other branch, etc. This was happening to me a lot of times. Well, it was an ongoing pattern. So the way I used to be dealing with the problem is I used to be diffing against the master branch and then filtering by migrations, then doing some sort of mental calculation of the migration name to be unapplying, because in Django, if you want to unapply some migrations, you have to target the migration that comes right before the migrations you want to unapply. And finally, once I had found the migration name I wanted to actually unapply, then I would just unapply it. So this was going on for a while. So I thought, is there maybe a way in which Git and Django can become friends in this regard? And that is how I created Django on Migrate, which you can find in Pipey in that link. So the new way for doing this is you pretty much install the package, you add it to your installed apps so that the management command becomes available, and you pretty much just run the command and you target any point in your Git migration history. If you don't pass any argument at all, it is going to use master by default. You have also some parameters like dry run, fake, and there's an open pull request currently for cleaning the migrations after unapplying them. In case you're no longer using the master as a name for your main branch, you can totally configure that in your Django settings. And I want to brag a little bit about how I got to get to 100% coverage in testing this project. Since it was using Git, it was kind of complex to make automated tests that use Git in order to make sure that it was working as expected. So what I did was that I created a number of intentional commits in the repository history itself, and I'm running the test against the repository itself. So please check it out in case you find it interesting. And if you think this is a useful repository and you can contribute back, please visit there. It's a joke that for every star you send, I'll send you 2 stars back to you. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. And with 2 minutes and 15 seconds to spare, so for anybody who cares about timing, you're in the lead. Fantastic. So next up we have Daniel. And actually,
Hi.
so far, he's last up. So before you start, Daniel, again, anybody else who wants in on this, hey, we've still got some time. We're going to be wrapping this up at about 8:50, 8:55, somewhere in that ballpark, in preparation for Guido's talk at 9 my time. Excuse me. I'm talking a Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Daylight Time. Okay, so that would be we'd be wrapping up at 17:55 CEST for the 1800 keynote. So if you want to do a talk, let me know. Also, I'm totally willing to do keynote. Not keynote, slides karaoke, Chook, if you want to do this, let me know. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to stop blathering and turn it over to Daniel. You ready to go?
Hi, yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. And
Okay.
your time starts now.
One of my hobbies is programming games in Python, and which is perfectly possible. I run a competition called pyweek.org, which is a game jam for writing games in Python. But if you are writing games in Python, you will be aware that Python is not the fastest language, and you have to be conscious of performance. So I've been recently writing a game framework called Wasabi 2D. And I was looking at vector classes in available in Python that I could use in Wasabi 2D. And I was, of course, interested in the performance of the vector classes because I'm going to be doing a lot of vector operations. So I wrote a benchmark script. The script is here. Where's that? That's how I do it. So I just use Tynet, and I'm just trying out some different operations with Larry Hastings' vector class, a Cythnized version of that, and so on. And these are the results. So pure Python, we're in many milliseconds. Pygame has this vector class, and it's at 0.1 microseconds per operation. NumPy is a bit slower, but it gets faster as you start to operate on more vectors at the same time, of course. Tuples, surprisingly fast. But I mean, the code for tuples is worse, I guess. So you're actually having to split the tuple out and do the operations individually. So the vector class for Pygame is a pretty good candidate, but it's mutable, and that is a huge problem for my APIs, because if you mutate something that I'm not keeping a watch on, then things will go out of sync. So I explored Cython a bit yesterday. It was just hacking around with Cythonizing Larry Hastings' vector class. And there's a lot of yellow here, and there's a lot of work to make it go white. And so you get the speed up. So I wasn't getting a big speed up from that. So I turned to Rust. And there is a library called Pyo3, which actually turns out to be pretty easy to use. So it has, get tied up in the Zoom stuff. So it has great documentation. I started by copying and pasting this. And there is a cool tool called Maturin, which does all of the complicated stuff for you. So if you have done any Rust, you'll know that there is a tool called Cargo, which is your kind of build tool for Rust. Maturin is your kind of Python wrapper for the build tool. And it just hands you a Python extension. So this is my code eventually for a vector. And I was surprised how much this feels like Rust, not like Python. I'm not doing very much to interface with Python. So I'm kind of mainly just writing Rust code. I'm dealing with Rust types here. Then because the main thing I want to do is overload operators, then you have to implement these protocols, and this is where things got a bit hairier. So I need to implement the PyObject protocol to be able to implement repr and comparison. And comparison because I want to return not implemented or other things. Whereas if I'm returning one thing, Pyo3 will convert for me. Because I'm returning many things, I have to use a PyObject, and therefore I have to construct things myself. But I was reasonably happy with that. I'm reasonably happy with the code. The workflow that I set myself up is that I'm running Maturin develop and PyTest, and I've got hypothesis tests. So they all pass. I've got a benchmark that I can run. So I run that in release mode. And after all that, it's half as fast as Pygame's vector class. So maybe I'm happy with that. I'm maybe willing to trade a little bit of performance, and then I can push more things into Rust. I'm looking forward to doing that. And my code for that, if you're interested, is on GitHub in Lord Mauve WVEC.
Thank you very much, Daniel Pope. So you know, yeah, you had 7 seconds to spare. Great, great talk. I'll have to check out that. I'll have to check out that game engine later. By the way, also your camera is now gone. We don't see you anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, that was me fighting with Zoom's interface which is in front of my tab bar.
Okay. All right, so I am checking here, and we don't have anyone else signed up. No one else is volunteering. So it looks like this is the. It looks like this will probably conclude the lightning talks today, unless anyone who's already presented this wanted to do this slide karaoke madness. But so if you want to speak now, or forever hold your peas and carrots.
I should say that I signed up an hour ago with no preparation, and I did that yesterday as well. So you don't need to have put a lot of preparation into giving a lightning talk. It's a great way to get some information across, just one piece of information that you want to share with the community. I recommend it.
Excellent. Yeah. Someone said, wasn't there a missed talk that was going to get 10 minutes? Originally, yes, but ironically, the person who was going to do that, who had missed the talk the first time because of internet issues, had to back out of this again because of internet issues, which is weird because we've seen her at several other conferences and she was fine, but we've been helping her debug for this conference for the last couple of weeks. And it does not, the computers have suddenly decided that they do not like the idea of her presenting at this conference. So dang it, I was really hoping. Anyway, that's weird. Technology can be weird, am I right? So at this point then, I think we're gonna go ahead and head to break for a few minutes while we get everything set up for Guido van Rossum's keynote, where we'll be answering the questions that were submitted for the conference. So that'll be exciting. Stick around for that. Awesome. Once again, awesome talks from all our presenters for the lightning talks. You all did fantastic. Thank you so much.